Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're tuning in. My name is Jonathan Torres-Herrera, and you are watching the JTH show. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we're going to be discussing something that I often get asked about when it comes to building teams and how I identify essentially good team members and how I identify the ones that really don't belong in teams, sometimes anywhere. But first, roll the intro. All right, that's the intro. So, full disclaimer, I'm about to touch, topic on something that some of you guys might find offensive because it might be a bit of a mirror, if you may. At least what I'm saying will be. For some of you guys, it might be music to your ears because you might want to forward this over to people that perhaps you've been telling them this for a long time, but they just need to hear from someone else. But that is the work cancers. I call them the work cancers. Now, I know cancer is a very strong word to use. It might be a little sensitive for some people as well. But to be quite frank, I mean, I just can't find another term to use for those individuals that sometimes feel like they have no other focus but to break down a team, right? Or the team efforts, the goals. And it's almost like instead of, helping solve some of those problems, they're just in the way, or find things to put in the way of our team success. And I've discovered that over the years, building teams, my own company, in fact, I've discovered that these individuals exist everywhere. I've been privileged enough, and I've said this before, privilege is the term that comes to mind when I say that I've built teams with great people, right? Privileged to have been able to learn from these individuals as well as lead them into the success that I've had. And I've been very fortunate to have had a lot of success in my lifetime when it comes to, my employment. And even though there's been bumps in my business, there's definitely been plenty of them. I'm on a great one right now. And, that I could not do that without the great, fantastic, phenomenal people that I work with. I pay them, but they choose to work with me. They choose to put out their energy. God knows how much they're putting into it when it comes to, beyond just, their obligations. And I know there's more that they put beyond just like their 40 hours, for many of them. And I am grateful and blessed, if I'm going to be completely honest, to have such people. Now, it hasn't come easy. There's been a lot of people that unfortunately have come and taken advantage of our work, of our trust. It's not just in the current atmosphere that I'm in. It's been in previous teams that I've built. And unfortunately, those people have been let go. And who knows, maybe they've gone let go from other jobs because they choose to continue being these work cancers that I'm about to describe for you. Now, hopefully when you see when you see this video, hopefully it won't be something that, is a bit of a reflection or something that someone told you before. Hopefully it'll be something more that is, like I said earlier, music to your ears, and you're like, man, I wish so and so would see this. Because sometimes just because these individuals are bad for the business at the moment, it doesn't mean that there will always be cancerous to the environment forever, right? And ever. People can change. They don't often do, but people can, especially if it's for their own well-being. I've met people, and to some extent, I've also been very, again, fortunate to have met people that went through a really rough period in their life and then, changed everything for themselves, and now they're great. Now they are not those work cancers. So without further ado, let's jump into it. There are 5 of them, 5 of these work cancers. Now, as always, I tell you guys when things are happening behind the scenes, somebody just opened my door, and that's probably from the hand size is Johnny. Johnny, I am recording, Johnny. So if you don't mind, buddy, pal, homie, home slicer, buddy? What do you need? Dude, don't worry. I'm okay with it. They're the ones that are going to get mad. What's up? Can I what? Please, what? I cannot take care of your tooth right now, but I will take off your tooth tomorrow. It'll be there for now. Don't worry. You're fine. Okay, well, go ask your mom, dude. I'm literally recording right now. I mean, that's kind of rude, man. It's like if I'm having a conversation and you just like, come on now. I know there's no actual person there right now, but there's maybe somebody watching this. Okay, thanks, Johnny. You will be invited later to be on one of these shows. I know, but I tell her I'm filming. I know, but I tell her I'm filming. No. Go ahead and tell her I'm filming. I'm literally filming right now. Can you go tell her? Thanks, pal, buddy. Home slicer. All right, close the door for me. Thank you. Let's jump back into this. Um, okay, so the five types of individuals that you should watch out for is I actually have names for them, right? This didn't come up from some book or something. Although I've actually tried to understand people like this better while reading other people's take on something similar on the matter, right? On the those people that are difficult to work with. I've read and even heard other people's podcasts, videos on how they identify these individuals. But anyways, the way I've identified them and the tags that I've chosen to place on them is to understand who I'm dealing with, and I have a really actually detailed breakdown. It's kind of weird, but the five ones that I have here in front of me, as always, remember guys, I'm seeing this way now because I'm ignoring you because I'm trying to read my stuff here. Is we have at the top of the list the denied cancer individual, followed by the foreigner individual. Now, don't jump up and start telling me, oh my God, look at you, saying foreigners are cancer. Stop. I'll explain. The infected, or AKA the zombie individual, the half-in cancer, and then the politician. Now, I'm just being silly with these, but it's actually how I've attempted to label the personality of the people that I've worked with, and some of them I've been able to turn around, right, in my own teams, and some of them I've identified, well enough to get them out, okay, which is sometimes what you just have to do. So let's start with the first one, right, the denied. The denied is one of my favorite kinds of cancers that exist out there in people. The individual who essentially has been told no too many times, according to him or her, right? That they feel that everything they've asked for, or approach management over, or ownership maybe, depending on the size of the company, they've been told no, right? And they feel like, my efforts are fruitless. They're just walking all over me, and from now on, I'm just gonna take that approach of screw everyone, right? Because they've been telling me no, right? Things they've asked for, including like raises or commodities. If you're like an office employee and you identify someone that's been told they can't sit by the window or can't sit in a certain cubicle, now they're pissed about it, right? And sometimes, it's usually because there are company restrictions, with some of these no's. I'm not saying that's always the case. I'm just saying, because I've been in upper management long enough, I know, and in owning my own company, there are sometimes, restrictions around finances, where you can't give a raise to an employee. Not always the case, but it is sometimes the issue, right? And it's hard to come out and break it down to an employee. It's sometimes simpler to just say, sorry, not right now, we can't. Other restrictions include legalities, right? I had an employee real quick a long time ago that wanted to sit in the office in a certain manner that it was literally a fire hazard. It was like by the door, and there's a legal clearance that you have to have on doors, right? It's like 3.5 or something for fire escape or something, 3.5 feet. I mean, I don't know the exact number, but the point is that at the time, I remember we even went as far as measuring with a measuring tape because the individual was like really adamant of sitting in it's a weird thing. I can't explain it enough for you guys to understand, but just know that we told him no, and he was like, up in arms about it. But let's move on. Then I was mentioned to you guys just a minute ago, the foreign cancer. No, that is not someone that is not from the US. Calm down. All right. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm talking about the individual that sticks their nose into other people's problems or other teams' efforts, right? I've seen them before. The typical person that works in Department A, but is consistently worried over Department B and somehow maneuvers everything to say, well, I have to be because of blank, right? And you know who you're out there, right? That you shouldn't be doing that. And you also know, if you're out there, you're probably nodding at this point saying, yeah, I can think of someone that it was none of their business, right? Why we're doing something in my team, in my unit. It could be a 2-man team, 3-man team, 20-man team, but there's always that one person that decides to have some type of opinion over it, right? And that they can be cancerous to an environment because they're usually what they're doing is there's a fancy word for it, but they're projecting, right? They're projecting fancy. They're projecting, right? Like the problems that he or she is probably having within their environment, they're trying to project it onto other environments, because then it evens the scales, right? With maybe with ownership or with real high upper management. Then hey, that department looks as unfunctional as that one, dysfunctional, whatever. I've seen them before. It's almost like they try to sabotage, right, efforts. Really, all these individuals that I'm describing are exactly what they're doing is sabotaging themselves and sometimes sabotaging the team. So, all right, let's move on. So the third one, the infected, the zombie, also one of my favorites. These are the individuals that I've noticed that they have no say in almost anything, but what they've heard before regurgitated over and over by other employees, and they're doing the same, right? If a previous employee complained about one item or something that they weren't allowed to do, this zombie employee, right? The infected is now simply repeating the same thing over and over that he's heard or she's heard over some time, and it's their problem all of a sudden, right? As well, it's something that they're also affected by this, right? So I call them the infected cancer individuals. Let's scroll down real quick. So the fourth one is the half in. The half in is to me, the individual that we probably have all worked with, the ones that are halfway out the door because they're looking for other jobs. And we've heard them, because they'll say it. They will never say it to ownership or upper management, right? But they'll nonchalantly saying, the grass might be greener on the other side, which sadly sometimes it usually is not. And that's a whole other video to get into. Sometimes it is, but usually it's not. Sometimes it's sad to say that we have to lose something to know how good it is. But anywho, right? The half-in cancer individual that is working there because he's collecting or she's collecting a paycheck, but ultimately it's like, I'm going to turn this half in, I'm not really too worried if they were to fire me tomorrow because I have this exit plan. I have this, set up on the side and this and this and that. So what happens there though is they don't understand that you may not be half in, right? Like if I was working with someone that's I have worked with someone that's half in, in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm not half in, yo. Like we work on the same team. You're bluntly telling me you're putting in half the work. I'm putting in all the work because I don't have your plan B. It's not because I don't want it, it's because I don't need it. Unlike you, I'm fine where I'm at, right? So, but at the same time, you're hurting, right? You're a cancer to our environment. So that's the half in. Number 5, the politician. Now, contradictory to popular belief, right? Despite of what you have heard in maybe social media or mainstream media, not all politicians are evil, right? No, they're not all, not all of them, right? Sometimes, we all have to do a little politicking ourselves. Is that the right word? Whatever. We have to, play the politician a little bit, where we work at. It's normal. Sometimes you might be doing it, you don't even know you're doing it. It's, we have to, fight for a little bit, right? Not, professionally, but we have to fight for what we want, right? And the politician that I'm talking about, though, however, on the other hand, is not. The politician that I'm talking about is those that, I'm going to say straightforward, it's the snake in the ground, right? It's the what sometimes you'll hear on real mainstream media for the actual Capitol Hill politicians, the slimy politicians. That's what I'm referring to, right? The ones that essentially their focus is to make sure that they always look stellar, to their description of, number one stellar looking employee, whatever that looks like to them. That's what they want to look like. And they don't, quite frankly, give an F about anyone else, right? They don't. They don't, there is no friendships. There is business, business, business. They probably heard it one time from like some of these motivational speakers like Gary Vaynerchuk or something. Oh, there's business. And they take that to heart, and they'll like completely throw every single person underneath the bus under the context that, hey, it's just business. And then understand they're playing a political game that can backfire easily, right? And it's all typically just to make them look good. They also, I've heard it commonly, the politician type person I'm talking about, played under the context that, oh, well, or pretense that, hell, I'm only doing it because I care about the company and you don't. Nah, BS. You don't. You don't care as much. Because I've also heard these types of politician cancers, sometimes when they are a breaking point, bash the company as much as any other person, right? And I'm talking about even people in my own business that I've had, right? That I've discovered hidden messages, or they accidentally left something for me to see somehow, like open email or something. And I'm like, wow, that's how you feel about my company. But I've also heard it in environments where I work, not right now necessarily, but, in the past, some of you guys may know that I worked at Cox Cable for many years, and I can say this on open now. I don't work there anymore. I can tell you that there is a lot of these politician cancers there, right? That their goal, their hunger was to go and work in what they called center, I think they used to call it, which was in Atlanta. That's where they wanted to work, and quite frankly, they didn't give two shits, if they needed to step on someone that they had lunch probably with every day. I see it all the time. They'll mask it with whatever excuse they want to put, so they don't come across as slimy. But yeah, the politician, also one of my favorites, I guess. And then I actually have a bonus one for you guys that I wrote right here. There is a sixth one. This one I'm a little against the wall with this one, because this one is very difficult to explain, and that's the dinosaur. The dinosaur to me is those individuals that have worked at a company for maybe years, and they know the ins and outs of the business well, to where they feel they take their seniority very seriously, right? And sometimes to the point where they can basically do and say whatever they want, because they feel like they have the company, by the cojones. They have them. They grab them and they're like, hey, I know the business. You can't fire me. Maybe I have tenure, I've never met someone that has that, but, I've heard it. I've heard it from good friends, that they work in business where they do give them tenure. And, they're like, man, these guys, they act like they own the place. And, some might argue that they deserved it, they earned it. And some might say, screw that, they're just like any other employee. So the dinosaur to me, as much as they can be a cancer to the business, it's a tough one, right? Sometimes to outright call them out and try to either rehabilitate them or outright get rid of them, right? Unlike the other five that I just described, the other five, either they have to go or, coach, what did they say? Coach up or coach out. Or at least the jobs that I've had, they say, it's, you have to, otherwise they'll spread, which is what I'm going to get into here. Finally, to close out this video real quick is, I've been asked in from people and in previous jobs, and even in my current one, you've ran successful teams, and I have, like I said earlier, I really have. I cannot tell you how, I don't know if it's fate, if it's luck, or what it is. I've been so fortunate to come across people that are just outright hard workers, and it's almost like I'm not even doing anything. These guys are just them. But I have also had the experience now built up to identify people that I have to get out, coach up or coach out, right? Coach them up and try to motivate them to change their habits. That that have landed them in this spot to be identified as a cancer, or simply just to get them out, right? Give them warnings until we get rid of them, right? So this is how it is. But I've been asked questions, how do you, JT, how have you have managed this? Because it's not easy. One thing I'll tell you outright, and I'm trying to log in here real quick to see my notes. For some reason, Google decided to say, you're logged out now. You're done. They've asked me, for instance, can people like this change? They can. Like I said, just a second ago, I guess they can. It's hard. It's hard to get people to change their ways, especially if they've been doing it from job to job to job to job. It's hard if they've been getting away with it for many years, right? That's another thing. That's how they become the dinosaur. Which, let me also say that there are individuals that can be like a hybrid Terminator, okay, where they can have like many of these features that I described all rolled up into one person, right? And you might be like, yeah, I know someone. Yeah, I know. Me too, all right? I didn't describe them as like the Terminator, the hybrid, but they can, because at that point it's so difficult to identify these individuals, right, that are across the board, can probably land on every single one of these points that I made. That those you probably just should quit. I've seen them, and they are hard to get rid of. Those are the ones that end up suing for like nonsense things. But anyways, you can change them. You can try to befriend them, try to understand them, and try to see if they can understand, if they can meet you halfway. Something else I've been asked is, how can an organization eliminate cancers? You can't. Short answer is you can't. Because as an organization shifts and evolves itself, right, into whatever it's trying to accomplish, it grows, you hire, you recruit, you hire, and then, there's always going to be jealousy that actually kind of helps sprung these cancers, right? It's a lot of times is what it is. A lot of times it's also personal things that they bring from home, right? But many times it's the fact that the company's growing and is maybe not growing to their image. They become these cancers. So can a company completely get rid of them? No, I've never seen one that's cancer free, right? To go along with what I'm saying, with this example, cancer free. You can't. However, I will say this. I've also been asked, well, what can I do, right, to like identify them? Am I a cancer? And I usually give like a two-part reply to this. First part is, if you don't know if you're a cancer, you should take a hard look at yourself from the outside, right? Be more hyper aware of the people that choose to interact with you, what you contribute directly to a business. To be fair, I think at one point or another, we can all be a little cancerous to the business. Sometimes accidentally and sometimes only momentarily, hopefully actually only momentarily, we can have some of these, features sporadically throughout our time at a company, but doesn't mean you're a cancer. It just means, you had maybe a rough week, rough day, rough month. It happens, right? Depending on what pressures you're getting put on. The people that I just described, by the way, these are people that are long-term like that sometimes they're identified as, individuals that, they're just like that. That's how they are. Those are the cancers I'm talking about. If you say, well, JT, come on now. Like you've just said, you have to play a politician game sometimes. I did say that. And sometimes you do have to play the politician game a little bit like that. And when that happens, hopefully it's for a good reason. And you're not just trying to throw everybody underneath the bus and think you're hot shit and there's nobody better than you. So, doesn't mean that if you have had, demonstrated some of these features, doesn't mean that I'm calling you a cancer, okay? I'm talking about people that, and you know who you are. I mean, what the hell am I saying? And you know who they are too. Come on, let's be honest. Let's be open about it, okay? But anyways, back to the last question. The second part, right, if I didn't finish explaining the first part, is, to look at yourself and really identify if you are cancerous to the business, it actually all it takes is asking people. You might not like the truth, but to finish that first part, maybe you should ask someone if you're not sure. The second part is you can be like chemo. Okay, if you identify that you're not one of these cancers, right? You're not like a long-term problem to a company. You can say, yeah, I've had a couple of days where it's been rough, but I'm not a cancer, JT. Awesome, congratulations. Welcome to the club. Excuse me. I talk a lot, so my mouth gets dry. Not that you care, but anyways, you can be chemo. You can be chemo to these environments. You can be the person, right, that brings people together. And in teams, I've discovered very quickly. You might think I'm being corny, but I discovered very quickly that it's important to make a team, whether it's one individual or 100, feel like they're a community, right, that support each other through asking questions and answering questions, never leaving a man behind kind of thing. It's very true, when you hear from, and I'm not saying it's the same, but when you hear from people like in the military, right, no man gets left behind, we're all here for each other. There's a reason that works usually so well, and that is because you form a community, right? And in that community, you just have to make sure that these cancers, when they sprung up, you fight against them, right? The person that's always pissed and because they're always told no, you can try to rehabilitate that person and be like, yo, listen, man, have you realized why they're always telling you no, right? Sometimes it's hard to understand why you were told no for a certain raise, a certain commodity, or something that you were told no for. But have you realized maybe that, maybe you're not doing this correctly? And that's how you can be a cancer fighter, right? And tell them, try to bring him in. Does it always work? No, it doesn't. Right? For that foreigner cancer that I was talking about, it sometimes needs to be outright put straight out, and sometimes in writing. Hey, man, I don't appreciate that. You have your problems in your team. If you want to work together, let's do it. But there's better ways of approaching my team. There's better ways of approaching criticism, right? That there is such thing as constructive criticism, right? When it's not being constructive, when it's just being a reflection of your team, you're not helping anybody, including yourself. For the zombie kind of you have to also identify. Those are the easiest ones to identify because you can hear them, again, regurgitate things that probably never happened really while they were at the company. It probably happened way before them, but somehow it affects them. You can approach those individuals, and be like, but things are different now. It's not like that anymore, right? Or we're trying to make sure that it's not like that anymore. Will you get responses like, well, yeah, but it's not going to change? Well, man, you got to get rid of them, right? But try to let them see, right? That's how you become a cancer fighter. That's how you become chemo. The half-ins, those are really hard to turn around at all because, again, they're half-in. But like I told you guys just a few minutes ago, right? I've had to tell people, yeah, but I'm staying, right? Make them realize the reality of that. Yeah, you're leaving, but I'm staying, yo. So, if you're halfway in, be halfway in somewhere else, right? Because we don't need that here. You're killing us. And then finally, for that politician kind of type of cancer, that would be the hardest one, right? Because they've probably been doing that for a long time, and they play the game really well. The politicians that I've encountered in my lifetime, they are excellent at doing the political game. They've done it before. It's probably how they got to where they are. And the politician cancers, by the way, I should highlight that they're usually in really high ranking positions. That's how they got to where they're at. But they don't realize that it's cancerous to the rest of the team below, right? Because although I'll speak about this in another video, I always like to kind of shake upper management by their shoulders if I could, right? Metaphorically, obviously. Shake them and be like, yo, the people at the bottom, quote unquote, by the way, are as important as the people at the top and in the middle. We're all one goddamn team. If you really want to make money, you need to see the value in everybody. Because there's a reason they're doing that job. If they're not supposed to be doing that job, then really you suck at your upper management position, right? Because you have someone that you're like, but we don't really need Susie or Mark or, then you suck. You have someone there that shouldn't be there. So really, who is the crappy employee, right? So I do it all the time, right? Which is why I try to tell my employees there's nothing different between me and you when it comes to the ability to do the job. I'm here to teach you something that I've learned over the years, and hopefully you'll pick it up like I picked it up from someone else, because I wasn't born like this, right? I know, shocking. I wasn't, right? I learned everything that I know from other people. I took it and made it my own and evolved it into what I feel best serves me. But I wasn't born like this. So, hey guys, let's go. Get out your notebooks. You know, if you want to type it out on your iPad or whatever, let's go. I'm going to teach you how to be a great blank, right? Whatever I'm teaching. And that's how you kind of, hopefully, right? Or one day, if I do this video, I'll be able to tell these middle management individuals or upper management, right? We're a team, and that's how you should view this. And that's why I'm doing this video, you know, to identify these individuals that are cancer to the team. Now, I know I'm not as cool as like the Grant Cardones and the Ty Lopez's and the Gary Vaynerchuks of the world, but if it serves you for anything, forward this video over to someone. Don't forward it to me. You're being an asshole. Don't forward it to me. Like, hey, check this guy out. You should see this. That's mean. Okay. Forward it to someone. You know, I know I talk a lot and I ramble, but sometimes it needs to be said. And sometimes people take it better when it's coming from someone else, like a handsome, 32-year-old, great hair Mexican looking dude that's maybe a little bit overweight and he should, go on diet. But anyways, forward it over. You never know. You never know. You might help me. You might help yourself. Help yourself. I'm sorry. Who knows, right? But anyways, guys, that is it for today. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you watched it all the way through. If you just started watching because you watch at the beginning, you jump all the way to the end, go back to the beginning and start the video again. Don't be lazy. You can hear me for 32 minutes, 33 and counting. Put the phone down while you're taking a shower. That's what I do. And just hear me. Yes, I just proposed something very indecent. All right, guys, that's it for today. Have a great night, morning, or afternoon. I'll get it. I'll eventually get it, like an opening. Cool. See ya. Bye. Let me turn this off. Bye. Wait. I got to come back. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share the video. Okay, now bye.